Welcome back to An Athlete's Journey. I'm your host, Travis Reed. We have a special guest here who is a dear friend of mine. Introduce yourself, my lady.
Hi, my name is Rometra.
And she is a former athlete, big time baller. And trust me, her journey is tight. All right.
Thank you.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? So she's a special person. So let's just get right into it, bro. Are you ready? All right. First of all, I just want to say thank you for doing this. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you for having me.
You know what I'm saying? Anytime. Next time we got to do this face to face,
Right.
But I had to do, rock my UCLA stuff, for you, you know what I'm saying? My special UCLA stuff, because you went to USC.
Yeah,
we'll get into that a little bit, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, so before we get into your basketball journey, I just want to get into like everything else you did before basketball, your gymnastics, your taekwondo, your soccer, the fact that you didn't play softball, you played baseball. You got to tell me about that. Yeah. Start from the gymnastics.
So I was like a super hyper kid. So my family is like, we got to like get her into sports or she's going to break everything in the house. So my dad, he just pretty much, my mom and dad, they both put me in just a bunch of different sports. So like you said, I did gymnastics for like 6 years. I made it to level 9. And then, I played baseball. I was on the swim team. I even did diving. But like track, taekwondo, and basketball were my main sports.
Okay. I didn't even mention track. See, you know what I'm saying? There you go. There's another one, right? Yeah. So you got to tell me about track. How was track for you?
Track was great. I had an incredible coach, Scott Evans. He actually trained my sister, who was like an amazing track athlete. So I actually started a little bit late. I started in 8th grade, and I kind of just did it to stay in shape for basketball. But I actually ended up being pretty good. So I ran the 100, 200, and we had the fastest 4x100 in the state of California at one time. So.
Wow.
It was a great experience. But really, I liked it, but I just did it to stay in shape for basketball.
If somebody's like going for state, I'm just doing this to stay in shape kind of thing. Oh my gosh. That's cool. You got to tell me about, being the black ninja. So how'd you get into, taekwondo? You got to tell me about that.
Yeah. So taekwondo was funny. Like, I always wanted to do the most sports in my family. And so my dad put my brother Roderick in taekwondo. And I was like upset. I was like, wait, why didn't you take me with you? So he finally took me there. And then I just like fell in love with it. Like I said, I was a super hyper kid. So taekwondo really kept me focused, and it kept me like, it really helped me control my ADHD. And it really helped a lot. But I did it for about 6 years. I was a 6-time national champion, and I was.
Okay. You know what I'm saying? Oh my God, I'm pretty the person that was trying to punk you on a basketball court.
No one ever tried. It was like I wanted to see if like my taekwondo skills really would add up in the streets. So, but like no one ever tried. So.
I think probably because they heard you was breaking boards and stuff with your hand and stuff.
I guess so. I don't know.
Okay. All right. So let's get into it. How did your journey to basketball, how did everything start for you?
Well, again, I loved all sports. I started really like getting into basketball in 4th grade, and it was random. It happened because my dad actually took me to I think it was like a Gatorade commercial. So I tried out for like a basketball commercial, and I saw all these girls that were like hooping in like 4th grade, and I'm like, wow, how did they get good? And I'm like, I need to start playing seriously. So like in 4th grade, I played, scored 20 points a game and all that stuff. And then in 6th grade, they had to put me on the boys team because they had this rule where you can only score 20 points or 25 points a game. And I would score that in like the first quarter. So then it was like, I was just sitting there rebounding, passing the ball. It just was so boring. So they're like, you know what, we're just going to move you and put you on the boys team. So from 6th to 8th grade, I started point guard for the boys team. And that was an interesting experience because every time we'd go to the gym, like people would laugh at us because like, oh, you have a girl on the team. But then like a minute into the game, their whole attitudes changed. So
oh no, she can play. She can really play.
yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. So obviously you did a whole lot of other stuff
Yeah.
other than basketball, right? So
Mhm.
what was like I guess the funnest sport for you? What was you most interested in besides basketball?
So again, I would say Taekwondo just because that sport allowed me to like travel the world. So I was able to go to Korea, Barcelona, Manila. Like, I just really was world traveled because I was literally, training with the national team. And I was supposed to go to the Olympics in 2000. So just that experience was amazing. And I had the most like incredible coach ever, Debbie Peterson. She really believed in me and instilled such confidence and like really helped me just like focus and be a better person. So I just really enjoyed that whole experience. But I'd say my best sport is probably soccer. I was, I don't know what it was about soccer, but I was really like a strong forward. And again, I had a coach from England that came out and he was incredible. So, um, you know, yeah, I love I love soccer a lot.
She's amazing, folks. Ain't she? She is amazing. You know what I'm saying? That's actually real cool. So I guess what made you stop, what made you focus on basketball and stop doing other sports?
So I had to quit soccer because I ended up tearing my ACL in 8th grade. So no one knew that. Yeah, I
Wow.
tore my ACL. It was like a fluke accident. I was playing on those rubber courts and my foot got caught and it just like completely blew out my knee. And luckily I had a great doctor, Dr. Arthur Ting. He's out of Fremont. He reconstructed my surgery and he just did a great job and I was able to recover fully. But he told me, you have to kind of give up soccer just because like all the wear and tear from the field. And he just really wanted me to like heal. So that's kind of what took soccer out of my life. And then Taekwondo, I still kind of did it, but it got to the point where they were asking me to train for the 2000 Olympics. And I loved it, but it wasn't something that I was like crazy passionate about.
Mhm.
So I knew like, okay, this is probably the time to let that go and really focus on what I really loved, which is basketball. So
Okay.
it was a hard conversation because my parents are like, what are you thinking? Like for a sport that, I was established, but it was just like, I really had to work. So around my junior year is when I was like, you know what, I'm going to go all in and I'm going to like, really get after it. And I was at a school in Atherton called Minlo. So I transferred to MIDI, which was like the powerhouse at that time, with Sue Phillips. She's like, I guess, the winningest coach in high school. So she really kind of like inspired me and shaped me to really like focus on basketball and be the best that I could be.
That's cool,
Yeah.
man. That's cool. So obviously, coming from an athletic family where everybody kind of did their, sports in their own way,
Yeah.
what made you feel like you had to stand out? Like I'm different from everybody else in the family.
Yeah. Well, my dad really inspired me. His work ethic was incredible. I just remember being a kid, like he'd be up at 5 a.m., getting dressed to go for a run before his practice at the San Francisco 49ers. And I'm like, God, that's like dedication. So it really like it just inspired me. Like, how could you be lazy when your dad's up at 5 about to like do a workout before his like full football practice? Like, there's no way you can be lazy in that household. And then my older sister, Denisha, she was an incredible track athlete. And I remember being in like middle school and she'd get all these letters and be in the newspaper. And I'd be like, wait a second, that needs to be me. Like, I'm about to get that. So it
Right.
motivated me. Like, I was like, man, I can't be the bum of the family. I got to work.
I
So,
got you. I got you.
yeah.
And obviously, everybody, her father's Roger Craig, San Francisco 49er great.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So obviously, 8th grade, you're playing with boys, you're killing. What made you choose the high school, that you went to?
So I went to Monroe originally because that's where my sister was. And
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to run track with her. And I was a freshman, she was a senior. So I was like, you know what, we'll just do this. Let's go to state and have fun or whatever. So I went to Menlo for that reason. But it was more like an academic school. They weren't really known for sports.
Mm-hmm.
but and then so my sister left. She graduated and went to UCLA. And then I stayed another year. So it was my sophomore year. Then I just I was on a team with girls that just weren't really into it. They weren't focused. And I'd score like 30 points a game and we'd still lose some games. And I'm like, I was literally leaving it all out on the court, but it just didn't work out. So I was like, you know what, I need to challenge myself. Like, junior year is really important. I wanted to get recruited. So you should go to Moody. Like, they're established, the coach is incredible, and she'll really push you, So that's why I decided to transfer to Midi. And then that year, we had like an incredible season. We went 32-0, and we won state. So it was a great experience.
Yeah, I guess that led me to my next question. Was like, what was your most memorable moment in high school? Obviously that year.
Yeah, I mean, outside of just winning, like, my teammates were incredible. We had some really good leadership, and like our seniors, they really just I don't know, we just gelled as a team, and we're all still really close today. So yeah, I would definitely say that entire year, not even just winning state, but just like the journey, the process of like just knocking out each game. I mean, we were so connected and superstitious. Like, we all had the same hair tie that we used for the whole season. We wouldn't take it out. Like, by the end of it, like, I had to like tie another knot so that it would fit in my hair. But like, we were just like so connected. So yeah, that was definitely like the best high school experience.
I got you. Yeah, going undefeated is insane. By the way, 32-0 is insane. I won state my freshman year. I was at Crenshaw High School, and we lost like, I don't know, like 3 games or something. But I obviously still won state. But yeah. So I was like, to go undefeated is sensational. You know what I'm saying? So I heard that you were California Female Athlete of the Year that year.
Yes.
Kind of explain that, to the audience.
Honestly, like, I don't even know. I mean, I think it was because I was like a 3-sport athlete. So again, I was 3rd in the world in Taekwondo, and then I was pretty solid at track. I don't know I don't remember my like records in track or anything like that. And then again, I was on the undefeated state team. So I think with all those 3 things, they kind of figured that I deserved it.
Oh, you think? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, for sure. So let me ask you this. When did you receive your first basketball letter?
Oh, that's a good one. So honestly, I didn't play AAU to my junior year because my dad just didn't believe in it. He was like, no, just train, develop. So I would go over to Stanford and play with the kid, the women there. And I played in the Kezar Stadium just to like keep my game up. But I really didn't play AAU to junior year. So when I did, like, that first game of that summer, like, coaches just like lined up and they were really interested. So like, I would say probably like a week after my first tournament, the letters just started coming, and it was just like, it was a little bit overwhelming as a kid because I just played for fun. I didn't even, obviously I wanted to go to college, but it was just like, I didn't even think about that, right? Like, I just focused on what I needed to do to be my best, and then it just kind of came in. So yeah, I just remember just getting letters and letters, and I had to get like trash bags, and I just kept. By the end of it, it was like 5 big trash bags. So.
No, I got you. All right. Well, what made you choose Duke to be in your next part of your journey?
I really wanted a quality education. That was really important to me. And then also my cousin Corey Maggette was at Duke at the time before he ended up going to the draft. But yeah, I wanted a quality education, and we were the #1 recruiting class in the nation. So we had some ballers like Elena Beard, Isis Tillis, Vicky Crapel, Crystal White. We had like a squad. So I just wanted to be a part of that experience. And then, just to play in that stadium is just insane. So
yeah, I played there my freshman year, so I remember that. We played against Duke because we were the #1 recruiting class in the country. Duke was #2. Yeah, it was me, Baron Davis, Earl Watson.
That's right.
Shea Cotton. He was in that cast. Billy Knight. Your family's ridiculous, by the way. I just want to say that your family is ridiculous. I ain't never heard of a family like that. But Yeah, like our class is number one. Duke class is number two with Shane Battier, Elton Brand.
Yep.
I can't even think, whoever else came in with them, but they were nice too.
Yeah.
And we played Duke, man. Man, the crowd. I ain't never been part of nothing like it. Like
Yeah. It was
nothing.
an
Like
incredible
they
experience.
jumping, they
Yeah.
dancing. It's them and Stanford, man. They got what he just is shaking. Like the whole court seemed like it's shaking when you play
Yeah.
it. It's insane. I remember we lost. That game is still on YouTube. We lost by like 30. I remember that. They beat the mess out of us. So for the first year of college, for me, it was like kind of a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah.
Just because it was like I went from living under my dad's rules to kind of, living under my own rules in a way, and trying to, make that transition to kind of like manhood in a way. How was your first year at school?
So my first year was great. I had an incredible roommate, Elena Beard. But it was just difficult for me because I'm so close to my family. So like my parents would be at every game, like my siblings. So it was hard being so far away. And I also think just like being a West Coast kid, I'm like a firm believer that West Coast kids should stay on the West Coast. It's different. Like, and I wasn't prepared for that, But again, it was a great experience. I love my coaches were great. My teammates were amazing. But just for me, like I'm a California girl, and just being near my parents it was really, really important to me.
Okay. I got you. So what was like the hardest thing like from college to high school? Like, from on the court first and then off the court second.
So on the court, I was in really good shape. Like, my dad always trained me. So I was like, I was super strong, quick. So the speed and the strength part didn't really affect me much. I would say for me, like I've always started, right? Like I was always like the go-to player. So just like transitioning into being like I wouldn't say I was a role player, but I was more like, I was like the sixth man. So I was off the bench. I was the one that needed to bring the energy, it was just like a different role that I needed to adjust to. But off the court, I mean, Duke was great. My, my grades were solid. That part wasn't difficult. I think maybe just like the weather was different, and just like being in North Carolina. I mean,
No, I imagine.
North Carolina.
I got you. That makes sense. So, obviously, being part of like those big battles and stuff in college, how was that Duke North Carolina, game for girls? I always wanted to kind of know that one too.
Oh, it's not as crazy as it is for the men's side, but I mean, we did battle. Yeah, they had this girl, Nikki Teasley. I don't know if you know who she is, but she was the real deal.
Playing in WNBA, right?
I believe so, yeah. But yeah, no, we ended up beating them at their home, and that was insane. Like, crazy. And then we also beat them. But it was always a close game because it was just everyone was so hyped and people are missing layups because they're nervous, So,
Okay, I got you.
good
I got you. All right, so you spent 2 years at Duke. You was obviously sixth man, right?
Yes.
So I guess obviously full disclosure, you transferred to USC.
Yes.
So why the transfer?
Again, it was just I wanted to be closer to my family. Like I just was so used to them being at all my games, and like my parents would travel out to North Carolina quite a bit, but it wasn't the same. So I mean that was pretty much the main reason. I needed to be back in California.
Trust me, I hear you. My college experience was, like once UCLA came knocking, I was like, oh, I'm going to UCLA.
Right.
When I left UCLA, I almost went to Oklahoma.
Okay.
And then I was just like, Long Beach State was like, I don't want, I want to be around my parents. I want them to see me play. And then my brother, my sister,
right.
My stepmom. So I want everybody to kind of still come to my games, like it was at UCLA when everybody used to come. So I was like, I stayed in California. I couldn't leave California. No, I got you. All right, so you're at USC, right? Why didn't you transfer to UCLA?
Well, my sister was there, and I don't know, private school, public school. I honestly, no, really, I don't know. I really don't know why. I think I really liked the girls on the UAE team. They were like super fun, athletic. Like it was more my style of play. But yeah, I think that was mainly what it is. And again, education was really important to me, so I really wanted that private school education. Plus, like the alumni is crazy there. Like they really take care of their own. So
Okay.
that was a big deal for me.
I mean, I guess I respect that. I mean, I guess, UCLA is better in every way, but
I mean, it's cool there, I guess. I'll give you that.
UCLA campus, Potter Pavilion. I mean, whew, come on. I'm just joking. SC's a wonderful, wonderful program.
Thank you.
And, I'm happy that you went there. So you're at SC. Are you starting there now, or are you going off the bench still?
I was doing like 1 or 2 guard. Yeah, it'd switch up every game.
Okay. So how was your career from SC comparing to Duke? Like how it was at SC those next 2 years compared to Duke?
So I would say at Duke was more like I wouldn't say a role player, like I said, but more like coming off the bench. At USC, I started. I was pretty much like the go-to player for the guards. And yeah, like I ran the 1 and the 2, and it was a good experience. I learned a lot. I don't think we like reached our full potential as a team, and that was what was, I guess, maybe disappointing to me because we really had like great athletes. So that, I guess that's just like my only regret being there, is just not reaching our full potential.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
So what would you say? It's a 2-part question.
Okay.
What would you say is and we'll start with this one. What would you say your greatest triumph was in college? And then what would you say your greatest failure was in college? So we can start with the triumph.
Triumph. That's a great question. I feel like there's a lot, like, just every single game I played my heart out. I put my team first, I was like highly academic. Like I was academic, like I kept my grades up, like, so I just think that just the whole process was a triumph, just getting through, graduating with a degree, like that's my biggest triumph. My biggest disappointment, like I said, was just like not reaching our full potential at USC. Like we had a squad. Like if you would look at us on paper, we should have, won Pac-10 at the time. It was Pac-10, and made it to at least the Elite 8 or something. But unfortunately, we just didn't do it. So.
Yeah. Oh, I know about that. I felt my UCLA team my sophomore year was like the most talented team I ever been on. We had 5 NBA dudes with Baron Earl, Matt Barnes, Jerome Lucio, Dan Gazir, 5 NBA. We had 3 dudes that play overseas.
Yeah.
Or myself played, Ray played, and like Rico Hines and Moose could have played, but they just decided not to. So I was like, that team was super talented. We lost in the first round. The Detroit Mercy. I remember that like it was yesterday. I always felt like that was the year we could have went. We had the talent to go Final Four.
Right.
Those are that was probably like my biggest regret in college, like us losing then, you know what I'm saying? We had talent, like you said, like a bunch of talent. Okay. So you graduate, congratulations. Graduating is good. I always say athletes need like an extra year to graduate. This is just me because our schedule is so demanding in college.
Well, that's actually what I did. So I was done playing in 04, and I actually was trying out for the Sparks right after the season, and then basically it was a great experience, but they ended up cutting me right before regular season. So I was like, okay, I still have another year, so I'm just gonna go back and just because I double majored, so I wanted to get my degree. I went back and finished, and then it was that.
Okay. Well, like I said, that's cool that you graduated. Like I said, congratulations again.
Thank you.
So you said you made it to the very end and making it to the Sparks?
Yeah.
At the very end?
It was very difficult because that team was just loaded. They had Lisa Leslie, Teresa Witherspoon, to name a few, And they cut me right before the regular season, which means I couldn't try out for another team. But I mean, I think that team is so loaded. I'm sure I would have fit in another program, but it was just too late. So it was just, that was a really difficult experience for me, just because I love basketball and I've never been told I couldn't play on a team. So it was a humbling experience, to say the least.
No, trust me. I understand about getting cut. I've been cut about 10 times when I was in my 10 years overseas. So trust me, my first year I got cut from 4 different teams, 4 different countries. So yeah, I know that. I know how that feels. Very humbling experience.
Yeah.
So after obviously you get cut, you go back to school, right? And after you finish and get your degree, what's next for you?
Yeah. So, like I said, I couldn't look at a basketball for like 2 years because I was so angry and depressed. My dad was like, look, like, you have all this knowledge, you're super passionate about it. Why don't you get into coaching? So I started coaching and training and developing. So, since then I coached at Archbishop Midi, where I went to high school. We won state several times, and now I'm an athletic director at a school called Hillbrook, and I coach and train a bunch of different athletes. So one of my players just won the national championship at Stanford. So Hannah Jones,
I saw that. I saw you posted on your stories. I was like, she coached her?
Yeah, so her in 5th grade, and I've had her ever since. And she's developing into an incredible player. So I think like that's my journey, right? Like I was definitely should have been in the WNBA, but the fact that I wasn't, I think God had a different plan for me, and that was to like share my, knowledge and passion and experience with kids. So then, like, I guess it can like live on, right? So that's what I'm doing.
Well, like I said, it's a blessing. It's a straight up blessing. I think, being able to teach what you know and all the knowledge that you know is just like a great thing, for future generations. And the fact that you actually have a player who, you trained since she was a kid win a national championship. That's crazy. That's straight up crazy. Okay. Wow. Like I said, it's super, super tight. You know what I'm saying? All right. Obviously, I told you, a couple questions. We're going to talk about something else. So everybody kind of gets at that low point. You kind of discussed it a little bit earlier about, like the fact that, you got cut from, Sparks or whatever. So when you're at that low point, who did you reach out to, or what did you do to kind of like pull yourself out of where you were at?
Yeah, parents. I just would call them and talk to them. And my dad just kept me focused. He's like, you have an education, like go get a job, use that, and I did that. I was in sales for a while, and then he was like, you still love the game, go train, go coach, just stay around it, and I thank enough, because it's just so rewarding to see the kids that I started training since like they were young kind of grow up and develop into incredible basketball players. So I'm really thankful that he was able to like redirect my focus and get me to do the right things. So.
Okay. There you go. There you go. All right. And the last question I guess I want to ask you is this: as far as like your journey through this, starting from when you were a kid all the way to, now you're obviously an adult. What was the biggest lesson that you learned from playing sports, playing basketball, from having your journey?
I would definitely attitude is growing up, I was so fiercely competitive that it translated into, oh, maybe I didn't have the best attitude. So I think if I could tell like my old self or my younger self something, that it would be like, chill out, like, like you don't have to win every game. It's going to be fine. And just have a great attitude and treat everyone with respect.
All right. All right. Well, like I said, I love your journey. I love your journey. I love this whole, story. I appreciate you so much, bro. You know what I'm saying? I got mad respect for you. And like I said, I will never, ever challenge you to a fight, ever. And like I said, thank you for giving me your time and sharing your story, sharing your journey with everybody else. Next time we got to do this face to face. Next time I interview you. So thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. And I'm gonna send you a USC jersey so you can wear it for the next season.
No, I'll be burning it like LeBron's. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. So obviously, before we go, tell everybody who you train, where you train at, so all that information where they can find you.
Oh yeah, for sure. So you can find me on Instagram at Rometra. I have a basketball training academy called Elite Basketball Performance. So yeah, if you guys want to come get better, come check me out.
All right, all right. Well, thank you, like I said, for this fire episode.
Thank
With
you.
the first female ever being interviewed by me, so I had to do somebody special. And thank you for watching Athlete's Journey. And like I said, we'll see y'all next week.
Bye.
Bye.